What fictional place would you most like to go to?
That's a great question. I need a second to think about it. My blackness is telling me Wakanda, but I don't want to automatically pick that.
Why not?
But
You're allowed to be black.
I know. I love being black.
I don't think I'm smart enough to be Wakandan, so I don't think I'd be appreciated.
Well,
You don't gotta
I
be.
don't think
They would
everybody
provide
is
the
super smart.
education.
Yeah, like
Wakanda had farmers and
You know?
just like merchants and
Sure.
Yeah.
you could have a podcast in Wakanda.
It's hard for me to think.
they probably still tax it and take their dues. And
It's hard for me to think of a fictional place outside of Wakanda I would want to go. Granted, Wakanda also gets attacked, but almost every fictional place you can think of is under siege in some way, shape, or form.
now, do you want to ask a question in terms of like fictional places where it neutralizes race, where it's like even regardless of your race, it's still what it is
Just
for you?
a fictional place. If you want to go to a fictional place,
Any
Let's not go
place.
too far with it, right? Like, we can just answer the question, I
Yeah.
think.
That's what I was kind of trying to establish. is,
yeah.
like,
I'm going to say Wakanda because I want to be comfortable with my people. I don't want to have to worry about. I mean, there might be some situations where it's like, look at this American black. Like, there might be some of that. You never know. They
Oh,
didn't.
it's definitely like that.
They didn't treat Riri like that, but
Oh, they sure did.
if she stayed long enough,
In the comic books, they did. Different
Yeah.
story. But yeah.
but so I would say Wakanda because I like being places where I'm just comfortable, where I don't have to over-explain or over-adjust who I am as a person just to, I don't like having to watch my back around niggas or around people who are not niggas. So
wow, that was a statement.
I'm much more comfortable. I'm much more comfortable with my own people than with anybody else.
That's real.
So yeah, even if I have to deal with BS from my people, it's contextualized BS that I can deal with. I can't deal with BS for the sake of BS that you might experience with middle America, so to speak.
now, do you mean capitalist Wakanda or non-capitalist Wakanda?
I don't know what their
Boo.
setup is, but
Wakanda is definitely capitalist.
maybe
It's a monarchy, but yeah.
that's also true.
And they
That
can't
doesn't
be
make it-
capitalist if they are also not a world power.
Yeah, they also don't trade with anybody.
They do.
They don't.
Wakanda does trade.
The whole
I looked it up.
the whole thing about Wakanda is
Wakanda
Can I
does
answer-
put
can I
y'all
answer
niggas.
next?
Wakanda selectively trades.
Can I answer next? I think I'm gonna say the Mushroom Kingdom.
Like Nintendo?
Yeah.
You want to be a part of Nintendo's kingdom?
I didn't say Nintendo's Kingdom. I said the Mushroom Kingdom. One, ain't nobody else out there that look like me or as tall as me. I would be a god to those people.
Is that what your intent is, to be somebody's god?
No, I said I would be. I didn't say I want to be. I said I would be.
Do you believe small people are incapable of rising
I
to
said
power?
toads are not small people. They're not people. They're toads.
That's the intro.
What up, barflies? You already know who it is. It's Big Dan, Rodan. I'm coming to you live from the 215. Your comic book connoisseur, your sommelier of sci-fi and superheroes, here to welcome you to the Blurred Bar BNR. That's right. I'm Grimace with some dreads,
You. I love Grimace.
a.k.a. Struggle Beard.
Did
That's
not
my
see
One
that
Piece
coming.
character. And I'm not by myself.
He's never.
I am by myself now on the cellar, but check that out later. How you guys doing? I'm just go over here, Cobb. How you feeling? You want to introduce yourself?
I'm chilling. I am free for the summer.
Hey.
I am also Queen Cobb. I am the Queen Anti-Flex, by the way. I am your support character with boundaries. I'm the video game Ventress, and I'm Sony's executive assistant with executive privileges, coming at you
C-suite.
live from the 215 and from the Blurred Bar as well.
That's true.
But you
Can you
wouldn't
also
have,
press my sound?
but I did your sound.
You did it?
She did.
I did your sound.
that's
great.
You wouldn't have known that I didn't click it if you wouldn't have said anything.
Oh,
But I am also not alone either.
It's about to go down like the mini pill. Looking for the Titanic.
Spark, what's going on here?
I'm sorry.
Yo, it's Ken Sparks.
Brimless assassin.
Thank you. Always classing. Yo, it's Ken Sparks, the Brimless Assassin, the soft-spoken power broker. I can't wait to talk to you guys about what we have going on today in our BNR. We come so far,
Hey.
and now we have more.
Yeah, oh. Okay.
He low-key got bars, too.
Bars.
It's fun because it rhymes.
Battlestar
Oh,
Galactica.
goodness. What up, y'all? It's the last descendant of Yasuke, sub overdub for all anime, salsa dancing, and just stay on his toes. Got a sake flight ready to go. It's your boy, Hawkins Hanzo. Hey.
You petty.
I gotta get smooth like y'all one day.
You petty.
Oh,
We've been doing it for a while.
You saw me flatten my wings. Jayhawk thing, you was like, I'm going to wait. It's fine.
I didn't know that was a part of the plan.
It was ridiculous. I was being foolish.
Hey, guys. It's Booze News and Reviews.
Booze, news, and reviews.
BNRs.
We got some booze for y'all.
Sir.
This booze is Uncle Nearest Rye. You guys ever feel weird saying like rye, like the W, like making it
I've never considered
slippy?
the W,
Does
to
it
be
ever
honest with
slip
you.
up? No?
Rye?
As a person
Like
of color,
rye.
it don't bother me.
Rye.
With the W?
Like you ever like you can't fix your mouth to say the rye and then like might come out with like a W like rye.
I have trouble with world sometimes.
World?
It's
Zordo.
throwing me for a loop, but rye, no.
Rye,
I've
never.
had an issue with
Y'all
I've
rye.
don't
also
struggle
never
with the R's?
considered the W
Rye.
in rye. No.
Uncle Nearest Rye.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, that's what we're drinking tonight. 100 proof straight rye whiskey from the most awarded American whiskey or bourbon brand of 2019, 2020, and 2021. This was a lofty experiment that worked. The results of this 100% rye mash bill matured in used Uncle Nearest barrels before being bottled at 100 proof keeps with our tradition of creating some of the most awarded whiskeys in the world. This is rye whiskey elevated, hitting every mark with its rich flavor profile, incredible balance of spices, and extraordinarily smooth finish. Smooth jazz. WJ. This is Uncle Nearest Rye. So please, I feel like some of you have been sipping
Oh, I have.
for the.
I have. And I've been
some of
enjoying
this,
it.
I'm literally. This is mine. I'm almost done mine.
Smooth is the word that comes to mind. So far, every sip that I've taken.
Really?
It's got that whiskey kind of harsh back end, but that's important for a whiskey, I believe. The spice blend, masterful. I don't know if I prefer this over like the other Uncle Nearest I've had, but because I'm not a big rye whiskey person, but I'm a rock with this. I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5.
4.
4 out of 5.
Wow.
I put it on my shelf.
Okay. Well, it's actually currently on my shelf because my wife has the rye version and she has the other version as well. She loves Uncle Nearest. So this is something that I've taken part in before. I'm not a heavy drinker in terms of just the flavor profiles and understanding of things of that nature. However, this is really good. It's really smooth, like you guys mentioned, and the spice is something nice. I'm literally not trying to rhyme on purpose.
It's too late. You're stuck now.
But yeah, I do enjoy this. It does taste like if I drink any more, I won't be able to drive home. But I do enjoy this.
At the Blur Bar, we do support drinking water.
That's
Indeed.
true. I enjoy the beginning notes a little bit. I'm also used to most recently drinking. I've been drinking a lot of Japanese whiskey, and usually there's a lot of hints of like vanilla on there. So like I think my palate has been kind of not wrecked because it's not like I was having whiskey during the day today. But I do think that I was maybe expecting or would have liked to have some of the vanilla notes in there, but like the spices and like that rye finish is definitely there. So it'd be something that I could enjoy, but I would probably sooner buy the 1884 or I think there's like a third version. I probably buy one of those. I am usually not a rye drinker either. So for me personally, this is nice. I give it like a 3.5. But it's cool.
I sort of got like more of like a fruity flavor, but that could be from just like drinking like some whiskey earlier. I enjoyed it. I'm not really a big fan of like 100 proof. I'm more like an 80 proof, 84 proof type person. So like this is 100 proof. So that feels a bit like that's a lot for me. But surprisingly, despite it being 100 proof, it didn't feel that harsh or that burny. I really did sort of get a sense of that like fruity flavor. I don't know if anybody got like a nutty flavor or like something else, but it felt very fruity for me. So I appreciated that. And I like it. I feel like I've had like a type of this before. I didn't know that Uncle Nearest had like different kinds, but I thought it was pretty good. Definitely not something I would drink a lot of. I mean, 50 proof, like 100 proof is a bit like, it's like, I have a little bit of that, but not bad considering that it's like 100 proof.
I think that might be the thing. Like 100 proof is like a strong
That's
hit.
a lot.
That's like that's a lot. So like I think maybe
Do I have a
that.
problem?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
We're not revealing anything.
I think between that and whatever that upfront taste is on the tongue, I don't know if it's fruit, but it's definitely something different. Where I'm like, that's okay. That's a change. But
I didn't
between
want to
that
be
and
the
the
first
100
one to
proof,
say it because I thought it too, but I wasn't going to say nothing.
You could have said it. You should
was
feel
like,
comfortable saying these things.
Nah, I just
Say
wasn't
what?
gonna say it. Like I thought it was like a fruit forward
Oh,
on the when it first hits the tongue, but
what did you rate it
Oh, like out of 5?
out of 5?
I'd probably say like a 3.5.
did you say?
I didn't say. I would probably say 5 out of 5 for me because it's good. I really do enjoy it. It's just the amount of it I can consume is very limited.
That's fair.
And that's
Yeah.
okay.
We want to expand your world.
That's good though. That's like cheap date.
Absolutely.
Well, that's the booze. Do we got any news, y'all?
I do want to point out this is Ken's first time as a host.
Oh
on
yeah, BNR.
thank
Yeah,
you.
I mean,
legitimately.
you've been here before,
Right.
Yeah.
but
Came in the door. I'm sorry.
All right.
him
well,
on these bars.
if you don't want to continue this
100
like,
proof.
bars archetype, you should
Sorry.
stop now.
It's hard.
It's about to be your whole
That's just
bit.
my
We will,
personality.
gonna be
we
your
will have
bit.
expectations for
They'll
you.
be
to
like,
rhyme.
we waiting for the next bars from Ken.
Right.
You
When's
don't want
this
that on
EP
you.
dropping?
But you said news, right?
Yeah.
Anybody got news?
I have movie news. There's a lot going on in the movie world. I can run it down for us in about a minute's time. So starting off the top, Marvel has reacquired the rights to The Incredible Hulk and Namor back from Universal. For people who didn't know, they did have the right to make the movies from those. No, for Hulk, they had the right to make Hulk movies. They just didn't have distribution rights. So essentially what that means is you can make the movie, but we're going to release it when we want to. So if you're Marvel and you have a certain schedule that you like to keep, and Universal's like, nigga, I'm going to release this in 2027 because that's when I feel like it. It's very difficult for you to make a feature film. He can be used in things, but he just can't. Anyway, I said a minute. So they did get the rights back to Namor when they got the rights back to the Fantastic Four. No, I'm sorry. Now that they have the rights to Namor distribution, they can make a movie with him whenever they want, although Tenoch Huerta is in a little bit of hot water right now, so we don't know if that's going to happen.
Is that Namor?
Yeah. That's the gentleman's name who plays Namor. He's got accused of sexual assault very recently.
Oh boy.
So we don't know if he'll be swimming with us again. We also have...
The blurb word is not.
We don't condone that. It was his.
Do
It
not
was his.
support or
It's his pun.
It was the pun.
Sorry.
They should just move. Marvel should just move over to animated.
Maybe. But yeah, also we have, let me pull up her name so I can get it right. But I will say we have Sarah Connor, a.k.a. Linda Hamilton, who will be joining Stranger Things Season 5, the final season. So we'll be seeing what she's going to be doing there, whether or not she'll be terminating things or she'll just be playing a completely different character. I don't think I've ever seen her in something that she wasn't terminating something. So yeah, that's that. And to just go through the last little bit, Woody and Buzz will be returning for Toy Story 5,
Wow.
which is interesting considering how Toy Story 4 ended. Toy Story 4 is not good. That's just a personal opinion. Toy Story 1 through 3 are amazing. Toy Story 4 is unfortunate in its existence.
Trash.
And lastly, The Flash is tracking to earn $22 million in its second domestic weekend, following up a trash debut weekend. They are doing horrible.
Do you think it's a mixture of maybe the movie's just not great, but also the scandal that is Ezra Miller?
So for me personally, I think that there's a combination of reasons. One, I saw the movie twice. I do think that the movie is good, solid to good. I don't think it's a bad movie at all, but I do think that the reason why it's not making that kind of money is because of the scandal, number one, and because of the overall lack of confidence in DC-related live-action properties. They have not been doing well financially for a minute.
But I felt like when the trailer dropped, everybody was like, "Oh my goodness, this is gonna be really cool. This is gonna be amazing." And then people were like, "But wait, y'all gonna really just like forget everything he did just because of this cool trailer?"
Oh no, but
They.
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 But yeah, that's a part of it. I do believe that what they did did not help them at all, and the fact that they couldn't do any press whatsoever, because if they did, the moment they stepped on to the in front of the camera, in front of the press,
It'd have been all about scandal.
it would have been all about the scandal.
This might be a different take on it, but I believe DC fans don't go see DC movies.
I don't know. Go ahead.
Look, the reason why I say that is, one, the track record has already been bad from the jump.
For a minute.
They're already on the catch up. DC is like
They
DC
catch
fans
up
are
to
like
who?
MCU.
Boo.
DC fans also know that their animation game is where their money is made.
DC's animation is
So,
phenomenal. Yes.
They'll wait for the release on HBO Max or whatever and do it that way. And DC fans are more hold tightly to Canon more than Marvel fans do. One, because most of the uninitiated and those who are kind of like new to the game in Marvel don't really care of like what origin story has been changed. DC fans are
They're a different breed.
But aren't people excited for James Gunn to take the helm?
No.
No. DC fans aren't.
DC fans are not?
Nope. Comic book movie fans are.
So here's the thing about fandom. Everybody hates everything, even though that they say that they're fans of it. So no matter what happens, you have to. It's literally it's not innocent until proven guilty. It's guilty until proven innocent with fandom.
But I thought when it was announced, I think at most people were warily excited or warily
In regards to James Gunn.
yeah, taking the helm.
I'm saying like DC comic book fans, nah,
But
because they don't like adaptations that change what was already a good story. Like the Flash movie is loosely based on the Flashpoint paradox,
right.
which is a great historically known event.
Yeah.
If you deviate from that too much, and based on the trailers and synopsis that you get, comic book fans are going to be like, "Oh, I really want to see this."
So here's where I'll challenge that just a little bit. I think, myself being a comic book fan, a huge comic book fan as yourself, I think we over-exaggerate how much our dollar counts to the success of movies.
Oh, big
Because a
time.
lot of it is the general public, and a lot of it is people who are meeting these characters for the first time. So when you say DC fans didn't go see it, therefore it wasn't successful, I'm like, they're kind of a drop in a bucket.
I'd only slightly disagree with you, only because when Marvel did this, or when Marvel did the MCU thing, Marvel comic book fans came out in droves,
Oh, for sure.
and
If it's good.
they were not a drop in the bucket. That's how my opinion is on it, because but
When I
moving on.
consider billion-dollar movies, I consider there's not $1 billion worth of comic book fans if there were, the comic book industry would be better.
We can talk about that at length on the cellar.
Yep.
We'll do that. Because I got energy to give to it, but this is BNR.
Yes.
And,
so
my
my
bad.
news is done for now. Oh, one last thing. I promise. The Squid Game reality show is coming out in November, where it's actually people participating. I'm sure there's not going to be murder. It's being
this
put
don't
on.
sound like a life and death
It's
situation.
being put on by Netflix. It's a very weird concept to me because I thought the point of Squid Game was to not do that. So we will see what that's all about when it comes down the pipe.
Whatchamacallit did it.
That's the movie news for us today.
Mr. Beast did it. He also got backlash. I got some news. My quick news that I think we might have the same on is just that the next arc of Demon Slayer has been announced. It'll be titled the Hashira Training Arc. So if you have been watching the show, I think at the point of this recording, the finale has dropped earlier this week. But it's kind of like telling what the next thing is going to be. But like, it should be interesting.
Chapter 128 for those of you who are considering reading it.
Ooh, okay, nerd. I'm sorry. Spy Family released a teaser visual of their upcoming film, Spy Family Code White. It is scheduled to be released this year in Japan on December 22nd. And finally, it's not anime, but it is animated related. Puma and Thundercats teamed up and made 4 shoes, and they're pretty dope.
Wow.
Okay.
I want to check that out.
Yeah, if you got $120, it can be yours.
I do not.
I will look at them.
I'm a Burlington Coat Factory merchant.
That's not bad considering like Nike releases are typically 180.
I mean, it is
I only
Puma,
buy
so like
Vans,
they can't
so
be too
I-
crazy.
They
I think
can't-
120 is where they're like
I
kind of.
mean, if they're cute, then
The Chitara ones, Laura was like,
Yeah.
I was like, you play your cards right, maybe
When you're doing a
bless you
combo
with something,
between 2 different companies and you're profit sharing, you kind of got to raise the price.
And we have to admit
It's
that like
happy.
shoes are just expensive now. Like it's like
Not if
Vans
you're
are
a Burlington merchant.
Vans are expensive. Those Vans over there I'm looking at were $80, and I
They were
remember,
60.
huh?
All of my Vans?
Vans actually were cheaper than that.
My Vans have been $60.
Vans used to be even cheaper than that.
Sure, but I'm still saying I'm not spending hundreds of dollars.
I thought
But I'm
Vans
saying
were
80
40 to 45.
No, Vans, like I remember vividly in high school when like I would go to like a,
Well, yeah, I mean, you're saying
but it hasn't been that long. Like
it's been almost
Nike's
20 years.
I mean, that inflation.
20 years
That
since
van
I've been in
inflation.
high school.
Sorry, not you.
All right now.
Not you.
All right now.
Closer to 20 for me.
But I'm saying Vans, I mean, sneakers are expensive. Like, especially sneakers that have a name that we've heard of. Besides, like, even like Skechers. Skechers have always been expensive, first of all. But sneakers are just expensive. That's how it is.
Are Skechers expensive?
No.
Yes, absolutely. Skechers has stores, so they're not cheap. Skechers has a store, y'all.
Is this the
Skechers
news?
are not cheap.
Payless has stores.
Let's
Ske-
get.
Payless actually
the
was
Blurred
not that
bar.
cheap.
We're not the sneaker bar.
Listen,
We can't do this.
listen.
We can't do this.
All right, y'all just spent 20 minutes
Refocus.
talking about comic books. So,
Blurred related.
yeah, but I'm saying,
Oh, okay.
oh boy. So in terms of video game news, there's a lot of video game news. To me personally, the most important news is that, and I'm sure it will be out by the time this recording is released, but Final Fantasy 16 comes out this Friday. It's a very big deal. I played the demo. The demo's out now.
I didn't know they still did demos.
Yes, demos are a lot more elaborate and lengthy. In fact, like a lot of demos nowadays are the full game. You just play a timed portion of it.
Wow.
But I did play some of the Final Fantasy 16 demo. It's actually about 2.5 hours long, which is very huge for a demo. Initially, I had faith about it because the producer of Final Fantasy 16 is actually the person that saved Square Enix and who actually saved Final Fantasy 14. So that is a big deal, but part of me from seeing some of the trailers, it just looked very like the character looked like a default character. It just didn't look exciting. It looked very hack and slashy, and it kind of reminded me of like Final Fantasy 15, which I wasn't a huge fan of. But after playing the demo, I'm like, yo, this is not very RPG related, but it's very action heavy, and yet it feels familiar to Final Fantasy in terms of soundtrack and just like characterization, but it also feels fresh. So I'm very excited to play it this Friday coming up, and that's like the biggest thing happening this week. But also today, Nintendo Direct came out.
Yeah.
So Nintendo announced a few games. I know there's gonna be a remake of Super Mario RPG, which came out, I believe, on like Super Nintendo. That's coming out. I know Peach is about to get her own game.
Nice.
I know Pikmin is coming out with a game.
Oh.
I know that Mario Kart is about to have some DLC, which I thought Mario Kart DLC was done. I thought Mario Kart was it in terms of content. But Mario Kart announced some really cool content. I know there's some amiibos coming out for Zelda later this year. So Nintendo had a pretty fire like direct. I'm not a big Nintendo fan. I think that they're conservatives and they're Republicans, but I love how Nintendo sticks to their roots despite it all. So Nintendo's direct was like really, really huge. That's pretty. Diablo 4 has been out for a few weeks now. It's had mixed reviews. I know some of the longtime fans of Diablo are just like, oh, I don't like this, or money and cash grabs. But me as a new Diablo fan, or not necessarily fan, but new Diablo player, I've really been enjoying it. It's a bit tough for me, but it's been a new experience being like someone that's been really involved with like Blizzard, with like Overwatch, and like to play another Blizzard game. It's been exciting for me. So Diablo 4 is like a really big thing right now. It has a very dedicated fan base. So as a new player, it's felt very exciting.
They got to fix that inventory though. That's just my opinion.
Of course, like you have to like spend 10,000 like coins to like get like an increased inventory. But I don't know if that's always been a Diablo thing, but it's could be again like a lock behind like paying money. And also like Spider-Man got a release date last week. I believe it's announced for October 20th. They're having this collector's edition where you can get like this figure. I don't know whether it's Venom or like.
It is Venom.
Is it Venom?
That's this year.
Yeah.
Yes, it's this year in
Venom,
October.
It's Spider-Man fighting Venom and Miles.
It's
and
really
I was
great.
Like, I might want that.
I have a friend of mine that it's sold out. I have a friend of mine that got it, that got the pre-order. So he got it, so I'll be able to see that. But I did pre-order Spider-Man, so Spider-Man finally got a release date, and that's pretty much some of the few things that are going on in video games. So those are the major things.
Cool.
That's been the booze. That's been the news. Now we're on to some reviews.
I ain't got no news.
Oh, my bad.
I got news.
My bad. You're right.
It's okay. I'm gonna keep it short. Tony Stark and Emma Frost are getting married. Woo! And it's strictly business. Woo! I mean, there probably might be some pleasure in there because
that's marriage, right? Marriage.
It's Emma Frost and it's Tony Stark. Two of the biggest playboys and playgirls in the Marvel universe.
Oh yeah, they've been getting around.
I mean, if you
for decades.
I need you to
power to them. There's no judgment here.
But Josh, when you do the edit, pull up the image. You gotta zoom in on Scott Summers' face, Cyclops' face.
Yo, he's salty. NACL.
But you know what's crazy? I was reading. I think it was.
Oh, NACL.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
But it's very funny because in I think X-Men issue 12 or something like that, he like reaches out to Emma and he's like, "Hey, I just want you to know me and Jean going through it, and I wanted to know if you wanted to me." And she was like, "I'm busy right now. Whatever you got going on, y'all need to work that out." He was so like, "Oh, my bad,
Scott."
But anyway,
but did she give him play at some point?
Who,
Did she give
Emma?
him?
Yeah, they've been together at some point. Him and Emma were like the power couple.
Started with Scott. That predated the series.
Okay, gotcha.
But
they've been entangled.
This is strictly business. If you've been keeping up with the X-Men, this is all leading up to the fall of X, which is
Is Hickman coming back for that?
Yeah, he's writing that. It's not to get winded about it. There's a guy who took over Stark Unlimited. That's not Tony Stark. And now
is
Tony
Stark
Stark
Unlimited
is
like Batman Incorporated?
No. Stark Unlimited is his like hit with Stark's company where he funded all this stuff.
Tony Stark stay losing his company.
Well, yeah.
That nigga can't keep his company.
No, he cannot. And now he's like actually broke. Emma's not broke. And since he's smart and can use Emma's money, then they can fight back to get Stark Unlimited back. But that's
what she get out of the deal.
keeping Krakoa alive, because what this guy has done, who now owns Stark Unlimited, he made Iron Man Sentinels that are better, like 10 times better than your OG Sentinels.
How many times is Tony? Anyway.
All right. News. Keep it to news.
Keep it to news. But I just to preface that, outside of that, Loki and Scarlet Witch are getting together. At least based on the comic book cover. Okay, so I don't think that's a final thing. Incredible Hulk 1, the Incredible Hulk title has come back for the first time in like decades.
Is it Bruce?
Still Bruce, but like the actual title itself, the Incredible Hulk.
That's what's up.
Who's the illustrator?
The illustrator, don't give me the lion. I don't have that on me right now. But and Al Ewing is writing the Immortal Thor.
Al Ewing,
that's
dope.
First of all, he's one of the GOATs.
Yeah.
And last but not least, dropping, I believe it is already dropped. Nightwing issue 105 has done something that no other comic book has ever done. It's drawing the entire perspective, or each panel is from a POV of Nightwing.
Really?
If this does not win all the Eisner Awards, like Tom Taylor, first of all, is the GOAT right now.
Tom Taylor's
but why is her name not coming to me? But her art style for Nightwing, phenomenal. And this literally shows him like putting on like his mask, him swinging through the city with Batgirl. Like some of the panel, when you do the edit, just some of the panels, just put them up there.
I have to get that. That sounds amazing.
I didn't go out and buy it yet, but it's easily going to be one of the most sold out comics. Yeah, it's out. So make sure you check that out. That's all I have from news. Very briefly, I'll just jump into my reviews. I'll keep it short and sweet. If you're reading anything from Image, just know that they now have acquired the publishing rights for Hasbro's Energon verse, which ties in G.I. Joe, Transformers, and something called Void Rivals. I'll talk more about that at the cellar, but
they acquired IDW or no?
Just Transformers
those
and G.I. Joe.
Oh, wow.
And along with some other properties from Skybound. So it's through them. And if you saw Transformers Rise of the Beast?
Yep.
Beast Wars. This is going to be somewhat similar to what the movie's trying to do and what the comics are trying to do, as far as making the G.I. Joe and Transformer universe all tied together. So keep an eye out for that. My long-standing review on that is on the cellar, but if you read Void Rivals, I'm giving it 4 out of 5, and that would be where I start and stop there. You guys got any other reviews?
So I don't remember. Yeah, so as I mentioned before, I did see The Flash. I'm giving The Flash a 3.5 out of 5. I do think that it's a good movie. I also think that it suffers from, no spoilers here, it suffers from one of the things that a lot of DC movies have suffered with, which is they continuously go back to Superman arriving in General Zod. Like, for some reason, they will not get away from that part of their history. And then there's other things throughout the movie, especially the CGI, which is not good. Like, at all. Like, it's one of those things where you ever hear people complain about, oh, Thanos looks bad. And it's just like, what are you talking about? This is one of those things where it's like, that looks terrible. And it's really bad.
A TikTok about one of the VFX guys.
I did make a TikTok about it.
No, one of the guys who did the VFX for Flash just released like a TikTok explaining why it's so bad.
Oh, really? Well, from what the director said, he said that the reason why the CGI is bad is on purpose, because he wanted us to see what the Flash sees when this is distorted, and I call bullshit on that, because just say that you ain't got the money, bro.
Always lying.
Just say you ain't got the money.
Oh my God!
Stop lying. So that's my review of The Flash. Secret Invasion episode 1 dropped today.
Fire!
I enjoyed the hell out of it. It's really good. It has no relation to the comic book whatsoever, but it doesn't have to. It just has to have the spirit of what was going on in the comics, which I also didn't read because I need to read. I just know about it. I will rely on Dan for his knowledge on that. But yes, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it has the one thing that a lot of Marvel shows lacked, which is actual stakes and consequences. So when you watch the show, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I will shut up about it right now, and that's it for my reviews for this week.
I saw The Blackening.
Hey,
Non-spoiler review. I give it a 3.3. Not necessarily a bad movie, but I do think if you're with the right group of people,
absolutely,
it will be the humor will be heightened and pushed a bit more for you. Just because you're with that right group of people.
Some niggas. If you was niggas, or people of African descent, if you don't prefer that terminology. But yes, it's much better.
I laughed at it, but like I knew that like if it was like a full audience of like just black folk, it would have been a wild time.
Yeah.
And I finished Demon Slayer. It was real shonen this arc, like, and honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed last season's final episode. This season's final episode, I was like, it felt like a long movie. Like, it felt long. It felt like, all right, like, can we speed this up? Because I don't know. I haven't just been watching Demon Slayer. I've been watching like just other things in general. Hell's Paradise, Vinland Saga, like, and I think they do a better job at moving the story along. Granted, they are probably not a Vinland Saga is two seasons, but like their Hell's Paradise, I don't think is going to be a multi-season joint. So like they have to like wrap it up and move things along. But like with Demon Slayer, much like My Hero, when you have this ensemble cast, we have to meet all of them and learn their backstory. I'm so like, I'm not gonna say it is above me now, but like, or I'm beyond that. But I feel it.
Pinky up.
I don't even know if it's a pinky up thing. I think maybe I don't know. You can outgrow out of it. You can outgrow
explanations of people's backgrounds is an enemy of progress in terms of the story.
A little bit.
Okay.
I think a bit is sacrifice for it. But that being said, like we talked about earlier with the next arc being Hashira training, that seems interesting. But I'm in it, even though it's like
gotta see it through, my boy.
Gotta see it through. I'm just too deep now. Too far.
Any other reviews, Atraf?
Demon Slayer Sword Arc Village, I give it a 2.8
out of 5. Okay.
To sort of like start my reviews off using like Demon Slayer as well. I don't think that Demon Slayer in terms of just like story and characterization is so special. I am a believer that like the animation, the way that Demon Slayer is presented on film is what makes it so amazing. And I also like Tanjiro as a character very much. But it is, at the end of the day, another shonen anime. But I don't know why. Maybe it's like allergies, or maybe it's like just on my body. But like I cried during the finale. I watched the finale today, and like I had like tears in my eyes during this particular. Should I give a spoiler alert? Or?
Nah. I mean,
I think the Demon Slayer fans.
Oh yeah, they're not watching it. So
no.
I am watching.
Well, but you guys have you watched?
You're not there.
But you haven't.
I'm
watched
a dub
it.
boy, so
Okay.
So, yeah.
But there is for folks that
like he's so dirty.
for folks that watch Demon Slayer, you've seen it. But during that scene, I think Demon Slayer does a really good job at animating as well as creating a visual and an auditory release where it's like you just feel so connected to what's happening in the moment based off of what you're seeing and hearing that it just like created like it was very emotional for me, even though I'm not that emotionally invested into Demon Slayer. But I thought that this finale was like really great, and I think that the season was very short and it felt very compacted, and it almost felt like, why did it have to be this 11 or 12 episode season that probably could have been like a movie, sort of like how Mugen Train did it?
Yeah.
But I don't know, this season just sort of summed it up where it's like, yo, like, this is what it was all for, and I just felt so emotional, and for an anime to make me feel emotional, that means a lot. And I really enjoyed the finale. When it gets to a point where it's like, yo, I'm willing to read or pick up reading where the season left off, that means a lot. And Demon Slayer has been one of the only anime that I've watched where it's like, after the season is done, it's like, all right, I'm about to start reading it. Even though I know that there's no way, visually speaking, that the manga can quite keep me entertained the way that the anime did. So I would rate the finale as a 5 out of 5. The series, the season itself, maybe like a 3.
That's fair.
But I think that based on, remember, we got to think that like Demon Slayer, the movie Mugen Train, we have to think that the highest grossing anime film in Japan for the past 22 years, 21 years, had been Spirited Away. And how the only animated or anime film to beat that was Demon Slayer, and that was 2 years ago.
I did not know that.
Is impressive, right? Yeah. Where it's like you had this one animated film dominate the charts in terms of money for so long, and for the only thing to beat it to be Demon Slayer, just this random anime, is impressive. So you really see throughout the season where that money went to. Like, you really see it. It's not like they just all pocketed that, John, even though I'm sure that somebody did. But you really see where that money was spent on the production of the season. It could have been better story-wise, but it felt worth it visually. That's just how I feel. So I thought I really appreciated the season finale of Demon Slayer. Another review that I have is just, again, like from playing the Final Fantasy demo. Again, like, Final Fantasy has kind of taken this interesting route where it's in this complicated phase of trying to maintain its cultural significance as an RPG game that was rooted from turn-based, transitioning into an action-focused adventure game that has RPG elements. And I feel like Final Fantasy, I believe it's really started from like maybe Final Fantasy 12 and 13. But I really feel like Final Fantasy 16 is really pushing the envelope where it's like, yo, we're going to pay homage to like the Final Fantasy franchise in terms of just like elements of Final Fantasy using money and abilities. But this is an action game. Like, don't get it twisted. This is really no longer an RPG game.
And you're good with that change, or what's your thoughts on it?
I didn't have a PlayStation. I'm going to just say it at that. I didn't have a PlayStation 1, so I really didn't experience at the time the impact of like maybe Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9. Okay. So I wasn't there. I had to play it via emulator a few years later. So I don't have the same like allegiance to the Final Fantasy series as like others do. That's fair. So I appreciate change within the Final Fantasy universe, but I feel like Final Fantasy 16, even though I kind of doubted it, based on what I saw from like trailers, like playing the demo was just like, yo, this genre is gonna be crazy. And IGN, Game Rant have already rated it like 9 out of 10. So I believe it's gonna be great. Another review that I have, very basic review, is just like Diablo. Like Diablo, I'm new to Diablo. I'm not a fan of like the series. I know that it's a beloved series, but as a new Diablo player, it's been fun. I feel like it's like friendly, but also you kind of have to have an understanding of like builds. Like for those of you that play like video games, like knowing like how to build your character and like the meta of like characters is very important. And I feel like I'm a bit lacking with that. I don't feel like I'm building my necromancer very well, but it feels like, yeah, I'm a necromancer. I'm a necromancer. In the beta, I was a sorcerer. I'm a very much like, I don't want to be close to you. I want to kill you before you get to me type person. But it feels, I enjoy it. The visuals are great. That for those of you that played like the demo or even Diablo, like that scene, the first like intro scene was absolutely amazing.
Unreal Engine, baby. That's crazy.
That's like flaunting some Unreal, and I feel like like that is what brought me in. And I'm not a Diablo player, so I really enjoyed playing Diablo. But finally, like what's disappointing is just like what's happened to like my pride and joy Overwatch. Like the only thing that I feel like I've ever been good at in my life is Overwatch. Like Overwatch is the only thing where it's like, yo, this is something that I'm good at.
Huh? Yeah. Video game wise?
Anything.
What about
anything?
Speed?
Huh?
Speed.
I'm pretty great at speed. But I don't practice
I think our therapist needs a therapist.
But I don't practice speed. But Overwatch is like the only game where it's like, yo, I know how to play this game. And like what's been going on with Overwatch lately? I don't know if again, Blizzard. I don't know what's been going on with Overwatch, but like
they dedicated their resources to Diablo.
No. No. It's Overwatch has become like a cash grab. Like, and it's just a bit disappointing.
That's every game for service right now.
No. Yes, Overwatch 2 is a free-to-play game, but it's just Overwatch 2 was marketed as a game that was going to have a story mode because Overwatch actually has a lot of lore. And Overwatch 2 was like, yo, we're going to have a story mode. We're going to have a PvE mode.
And they were like, just kidding.
And they canceled it. They said, actually, no, this ain't happening.
Got
But they released this fake janky like PvE mode that's like behind like a paywall. And it's really disappointing because I have like an Overwatch tattoo that I have to live with for the rest of my life. When Overwatch is dead and gone, I'm going to still have this joint on my arm. And I'm a huge Overwatch fan, and to kind of see where it's going is a bit disappointing.
What would you rate it?
How I'm feeling about Overwatch is, how would you rate an abusive relationship? 5 out of 5?
Moving on. Nope, moving on.
Whatever we rate,
we're not doing
whatever
that.
It depends on the day of the week, I think.
Whatever we rate abusive relationships, that's what I rate.
Overwatch, you so good to me.
I can fix it.
Overwatch, you so good to me.
If I just keep playing it, I can make it better. I
After
can
Overwatch
fix it.
apologizes, it's like, you know.
He's a good man, Savannah.
Oh my god.
But
I
if
can
it's like
fix it.
on a bad
So,
day.
I'm a bit like a 2.5 right now. How I'm feeling.
I really could be like that.
I personally don't have many reviews only because I've either put them out on some recording or not, so I'm not gonna linger too long. I think we should just get into it. Talk about it.
Spider-Man.
It's
Spider-Man. Radioactive black Spider-Man.
That man who like saves the day
Puerto
allegedly.
Rican Spider-Man.
So I want to preface this by saying Dr. Umar was right.
In what context? Please
Hold on,
tell
hold
them
on,
what
hold on.
context. You gotta tell them what
Before
context.
we get into it,
That's a
this
pivot.
is spoiler. This is going to have spoilers.
This will have spoilers, but
because
let's
we
do our
all watched
spoiler
it.
free first.
Mhm.
And I'll explain what I mean.
Please,
afterwards.
my lord.
I would give it 5 out of 5.
Of course
Same.
you would.
5
5 out of 5.
Of course you would.
First of all, of course I would. You don't know why I give it 5 out of 5, and I'll explain why I give it a 5 out of 5 later on. Don't just invalidate my 5 out of 5.
That wasn't invalidating.
Of course you
5 out of 5 is a 5 out of 5.
You guys both give 5 out of 5?
I would definitely give it a 5 out of 5.
What do you give it?
I give it a 4.
That's not bad.
No rating.
You have to rate it because this is Booze News and Reviews, and you're going to review it. So,
I enjoyed the film. It was okay.
out of 5, based on how you feel at this moment.
As the hipster in me is saying
Right.
2.
No, that we're not talking to hipster cop. We're talking to cop.
I'll give it a 4.
After all that.
After all of that,
I didn't want y'all to hit me. I didn't want y'all to hit me, so I'm gonna just say it 4.
Whoa! Tomato,
We do not hit
tomato.
women. We do not hit our female host.
I don't want TikTok and the folks that comment
To
to
come
say
at
she
you?
sucks. She doesn't know what she's talking
okay.
about.
So clarify that you don't want people to come at you for your rating.
Right.
What's your
no,
honest
honestly,
rating?
like I enjoyed.
We would protect you in that sense.
100%.
I honestly like. I would say that the film was a 4 out of 5. But
Okay.
Okay.
But how much that means to me as someone that is not a fan of superheroes films, then y'all can take that as
So what do you, when you say that something's a 4 out of 5,
for a superhero film.
for a superhero film,
For
a
film
film
in general.
where you...
I consider superhero films different than films in general.
Okay. All right. We're not lingering on that. I don't have the time. We could talk about this separately.
We already know. Go ahead.
Man,
We already know my deal.
she's so great. Cobb's always been here. This is the spoiler part.
They're like twisting my hand from like underneath the camera.
No, just you can't keep giving non-answers.
That isn't it. I gave a very clear answer. Go ahead.
This is the spoiler part of the episode. So if you
stop
haven't
watching. Pause right now.
go see Spider-Man and then come back.
Go
Or
see for
don't.
yourself.
But just come back later.
You just gave it a 4 out of 5. You endorsed the film by giving it a 4 out of 5.
Not
Moving
for
on.
superhero films.
So
It's not the same rating.
no, we're letting it go. We're moving on. We're moving on.
I'm not mocking you.
That is not an endorsement from QC, by the way.
Okay.
That's so funny.
Just a number.
So Sony dropped what I believe to be the best piece of Spider-Man content in the last 20 years.
Sony
Sony.
or in Sony films?
Sony
Sony, like in
as
films?
the company.
In films?
Sure.
So
but
Alright.
Sony as a company.
Sony
All
owns
right,
the right
just
to
say
Spider-Man.
film.
Even if you say Spider-Man the game,
No. That's
this
different.
is better than Spider-Man the game.
It is
to
not.
me.
But go ahead. Go ahead.
You're not gonna-
In terms of Sony filmmaking, yes. Okay. Don't say Sony games.
Spider-Man content. I preface with in the framework of Spider-Man anything. Since Sony
Anything.
has gotten Spider-Man's license.
Which hasn't been long, right?
No, they've had it for a long time.
What are you talking
Really?
about?
20 years.
It's been a
Over
grip.
20
Maybe
years.
because
Over
they haven't
20
created
years.
good
That's like
video gaming
Toby
content.
So the
Maguire.
first Spider-Man movie came out in 2003.
Two.
Two. It's
So that
been
means
over
that they
20
had
That's
years.
how long Sony had it?
Before that, because it takes
Even
at least
before
3
that.
years to make a movie.
I see. Well, in
Yeah.
terms of creating the game.
In over 20 years. I'm saying because if you say count Spider-Man 2, because I love Spider-Man 2.
Love that movie.
But this, in my opinion, was phenomenal.
Including
and it-
games.
Yes. I've said that. Moving on. This was great. Not just for the Easter eggs, but I think for a story involving a character that's not Peter Parker. And for Peter Parker to be on the back
I
burner.
have so much to say about that.
This was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And to clarify with my statement about Dr. Umar being right, Gwen
Yeah.
Stacy trading on Spider-Man the way she did, I was like,
In what way?
Yeah, how did she trade on Spider-Man?
she knew he wasn't supposed to follow her. She knew that he wasn't supposed to be a part of the Spider Society.
She
He
didn't
was-
invite him.
She was
He followed her.
Yeah.
she did not.
That's not her
She
fault
looked
that he
out
got
at
he,
the atmosphere
he got
and
chipped
didn't
up.
see this invisible nigga.
She was not supposed to go see him. She started this.
She didn't tell that nigga to come here.
She really
She-
did.
She went to go see him. She was not supposed to go see him.
That's true.
That's true.
That was a direct order.
Sure, but that doesn't
She
make her a
started the
traitor.
spiral.
Mm-hmm.
She started.
But
the
that
spiral.
doesn't make Dr.
No.
right.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Because Dr. Umar said was a little bit of a lot.
There was a little. I'm just saying. Dr. Umar was right about the part trading on her. Like he traded on her. She knew.
She didn't have. Did she have any obligation or like allegiance or like requirement to like?
To the Spider Society, yeah, she was
Yeah,
doing
she
the
did.
job.
Yeah, but her like wanting to see him. He's still a
She
a
was
young
not
adult.
supposed to. She was told not to do it.
He's still a young adult who makes choices.
She was a
Go ahead.
recruit. She was recruited.
You're not about to have me defending a white woman on camera. But I'm saying like he is someone that makes
Don't.
choices. He makes choices. I'm just
He is
saying.
he is like
He
a
is his own
functioning
person.
young man who can
But
make his
I'm
own
saying,
choices.
had Gwen not initiated any
16?
of this,
That's true.
No.
there wouldn't have been this issue.
That's true. But there also wouldn't have
He
been a
also
movie
would've-
that you claim is a 5 out of 5. So good.
I understand that, but she, in some degree, to me, is an antagonist, or an
alright.
an
antagonist?
initiator
That's a lot.
of the chaos that ensues.
One can argue that also Miles Morales is an initiator of chaos.
She is
as well.
the tipping point of why the story goes in the direction it does, because she failed to stay on the directive. Narrative or no, I'm saying, had Gwen stuck to her guns and did what she was supposed
There
to do,
would have been no movie.
I
There
mean,
would
if
not
you
have
wanna
been
be
no
real,
movie, but
the
I'm just
tipping
saying.
point is the nigga who threw the bagel.
that was also Miles.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have
Don't
thrown
throw
the bagel.
food at people.
You shouldn't be throwing food at people.
You know what I'm saying?
I endorse
That's
that
the
statement.
lesson of the film.
Especially in Brooklyn.
Well, they weren't in Brooklyn at the time, I don't think.
They were in the
Or what-
outskirts, but no matter
Whatever.
where you are,
Yeah.
keep the food to yourself.
Don't be throwing food at people. But that's kind of how I looked at it from like when she's now making up for her mistakes now, but ultimately, had she just like stayed on point, Miles tragedy would have struck regardless because canon events. But Gwen should have minded her business and stayed on task.
I think the thing that is interesting about that is if she doesn't stay on point, what we are led to believe is that Jeff dies.
Mm-hmm. Jeff is Miles Morales' dad.
Yeah,
he was supposed to die, right?
Well, I think that
in the video game he does die. In the
yes,
comic books he does not.
I think that is but he's alive in the comics.
He doesn't. Now. Yeah, he does not. He's not going to die. He's not a cop.
I think Uncle Aaron's still alive in the comics, but that's comics. Comics
niggas
don't die unless you're Captain Marvel, the original one. So, but I think that
Gwen Stacy's still dead.
Spider-Gwen is alive.
Different story. Anyway,
I think that part of the crux of what we're exploring here, and Miles says as much when he's being beat up by Miguel on the train, is everybody's trying to tell me what my story is supposed to be. Nah, I'm going to do it my own way. Like, that's him saying, no, you guys are saying that this is the way things are supposed to be. I think the entire point of this movie is Miles coming into self-realization that I have to be my own man despite how I got here. It's still my responsibility to determine my circumstances. And y'all niggas ain't going to tell me that I'm not allowed to be Spider-Man. I am Spider-Man. Ain't nothing you can do about it. So deal with it or don't. But leave me out of your...
White women or no.
But deal with it or don't, but leave me out of it, right?
But you know what's funny to that point? Because I feel like we saw...
I don't think Beyond the Spider-Verse ends with Jeff dying. I don't think that that's going to happen.
I don't think so either. I think one... Since they've named the universe what it is, 1610,
which is now my Wi-Fi's name.
But it could be, it could go either way, and I think if anything they might do the mom, but
they better not. They can't. I swear,
kill her,
kill off the
They're
mom.
not going to kill the only Puerto Rican woman on the screen.
They shouldn't.
Guarantee you that.
They shouldn't.
They will not do that.
I mean, one parent at least has to be alive.
Somebody has to die, and Uncle Aaron don't count.
It's not going to be the Puerto Rican.
I don't think that's speculation, and I'm not really too worried about it. But I think at the end of the day, for this movie to be what it was, what I think was important was that all of the primary focus of characters was not Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And Miles saying, like, I'm going to do my own thing isn't a new concept because all these other characters that you see are doing their own thing and have kind of rewritten their stories to be, while derivative, still be offshoots of different versions of Spider-Man for a reason. Like, Spider-Punk is completely different.
Very, very different.
And you're like, well... we won't really hear his canon event. And I mean, I know what it is in the comics, but it's not the same necessarily in the movies. And they don't really explain it. And while they say that there's like this cost in blood or in a loss of life for you to be Spider-Man, they're not taking into account like his uncle dying already. They're like, no, somebody else got to die. A police captain got to die.
Which is what I found really interesting about the film because it's a question of, okay, so how much death is required?
A lot of death is required.
Because his Uncle Aaron already died. So why did his dad have to die too?
A lot of death is required to be Spider-Man.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if Miguel is right about that requirement.
I mean, when you think about it, like, just like even generally speaking, like in order for like superheroes to exist, there has to be like death of innocence, right? But I think that I appreciated as like a core like Spider-Man fan, like I really enjoyed just like the concept and the theme of like identity coming up throughout the film, like the dad sort of questioning and trying to validate his identity as a father figure, Miles Morales and sort of tackling with his identity as Spider-Man. Gwen sort of tackling with her identity. I really appreciated that point, and that it was very much like a superhero film, but it was also a bit coming of age in some ways.
Yes.
So I think I appreciated that point. But also just like on a very like visual, like superficial level, like just the way that it was animated, I think is what kept me very engaged with the film. Especially like a lot of people watching this film, especially like kids, like the theater that I went to, yeah, it was our students there, but it was also a lot of other schools there. And a lot of like those students are not really familiar with the lore of Spider-Man. They know who Spider-Man is, right? They may have saw like the Into the Spider-Verse, but a lot of these students are not really familiar with the ins and outs of Spider-Man as a character.
Yeah.
Yet they still enjoyed and had the oohs and ahs and the silent points and the sad moments of the film. So I think that the film did a really good job at like grabbing at where you are as a human being, whether you're a child or an adult. So I think that I appreciated that more as someone that's not familiar with the lore and the consistency of like the Spider-Man universe. And I think that especially for a 2.5 hour film, like an epic essentially, I think that I appreciated that.
I think that's something that we've always, not we, but I think that's something that people have always said that Pixar does really well, where they have the kiddie stuff for the kids, but the adults are also touched on the emotional level. I mean, I can't tell you how many Pixar movies I've cried in. But Josh, I definitely wanted to get your thoughts on the film and some of the things that you thought were positive or negative.
I thought it was, I thought the chase scene, him like going through like the Spider-Verse or whatever, was a bit long. I think that could have been chopped down a bit. I think, to be honest, outside of Miguel, and okay, no, I'll include him in that. I think the most interesting thing to me about Spider-Man, especially Into the Spider-Verse, is how much more interested I am in the spiders of color. Like, even like power set wise, like finding out that Miles Morales has like electricity.
Yeah.
Like that's dope.
Turn invisible.
Yeah, like I think that's like really cool. I'm like, I want to hear more about that. I want to learn more about that. I would like to see that. Like that is super cool. And this is even after I've said this before, I think with the bots at OtakuCon. Like this is after they like Sony and honestly Marvel has made Spider-Man cool. Like him fighting Doctor Strange, and like you get to see how smart he actually is and how agile and all that stuff, like his acrobatics. Like it's really cool, but also now you got electrical powers. Now you can turn invisible. Like that's really cool. The fact that Spider-Woman is fighting on a bike while pregnant, like that's dope.
Yeah.
Spider Bite is a very cool concept.
I really
like,
want a movie just about Spider-Man.
I think that would have been. I think there's a lot of cool spiders of color. And it just, to your point of Peter being a background character, I think when you see something like the Spider-Verse, as a non-fan, I can be like, I've had enough of Peter. Like, I can live without another Peter Parker trilogy, right? And I would like to dive more into like Miles Morales and his story. I also think that Peter Parker being in the background kind of makes sense, right? It's not his story, so I get that he's like the OG in a sense that we have to like come to know and love. But yeah, I think this is one of those things where it's like, it'd be cool if American or Western civilization could actually like let characters die and start a new story, and or just start a new property, like
pivot a little bit.
Not even pivot. Like I've said this, I feel like maybe 2 seasons ago, where it's just like the reason why I enjoy like anime is like there are certain things that, like, in the shonen trope, that things are going to happen. You're going to have, like, this ensemble cast and colorfulness and all that stuff, and friendship at every now and again. But, like, at a certain point, AOT comes to an end. At a certain point, like, my hero is going to come to an end, and, like, you have to have that new engagement. So I think it would be cool to have that new engagement, like, just with Miles Morales, and just go that route.
Two of the things that you said, I think, are really important in that a lot of kids' first experience with Spider-Man now, going to the theater to see a Spider-Man movie, will be Miles Morales. And especially if the kids have grown up just in time to see this movie, Peter Parker is quite literally in the background. And every Peter is in the background. That facility of the Spider-Verse is mostly Peter's. And all of them are in the background. And I find that really interesting because for years, Dan, you know this, and I know that you have different thoughts about it, but for years we've been told that legacy characters don't work. And I contend that any character can work if you tell a good story. It does not matter the sexual orientation, the color of their skin, whether they're differently abled. If you tell a good story, no one cares. The amount of people who are prone to bigotry, who are saying, oh, the Spider-Verse is the best movie of any of the Spider-Man movies that I've seen over these past few years that Spider-Verse has come out, has been really interesting because it's an undeniably good... Now, you have some people who are going to be... I forget the term. I don't remember the term I'm looking for. Who are disingenuous about what their true thoughts are about the film because they feel like they have to keep up appearances. But I feel like, for the most part, I'm not going to speak for everyone, but a lot of people believe that these Spider-Verse films are the best Spider-Man films that have ever come out, and they star a black and Puerto Rican kid. And to your point about across the Spider-Verse, you have Hobie Brown. You have Jess Drew, the Spider-Woman on the bike. You have Spider-Man India. You have Miguel O'Hara. All of these are our main stars, and you have Gwen. But and you also have the anime Spider
Penny Parker.
You have all these spiders of color who have way more screen time than any other traditionally colored Peter Parker. So I think that is, one, obviously it's intentional, and two, it also speaks to this, and I'll shut up. It really does matter who's telling these stories.
Yeah.
Because when you look behind the camera, you'll see why this story is told.
Who told the story of Miles Morales?
In the comics? Brian Michael Bendis.
Who told the story in the
create
film?
The character. Who told the story?
And who wrote the Spider-Verse film?
Well, it was Lord and Miller, right? And
I think
the director
they produced it more than so than wrote it.
No, I think they wrote this,
but
I'm not wrong. I may be wrong about that, but I know Lord and Miller are the ones that have put that up there. The same people who did Lego Movie.
Mm-hmm.
Who created the character Miles Morales?
Brian Michael Bendis.
Is he a black man?
No, he's white. He has a black wife, black daughter.
But the inception of all this came from Donald Glover.
Yeah.
The creation of Miles Morales?
Yes.
The spark that
created this was that he, at one point,
campaigned to be Spider-Man in the next movie.
But if your idea is like it matters who's telling the stories, who exactly is telling the story?
This is what makes Miles as much of a Spider-Man as everyone else. He takes what was told to him from home, and keeps it with him keeps him rooted in his identity as a hero. Mm-hmm. The same way Peter Parker goes around with this great power, great responsibility thing.
Yeah.
Miles is doing the same thing because that's what he was taught.
Right.
And I think what we're going to see in this movie, the Beyond the Spider-Verse is going to be just that. Mm-hmm. That it's not the tragedy that makes you Spider-Man as much as it is the resolution that comes from those things. Yeah. And Miles doesn't need to have the same story. Mm-hmm. If I could talk at length about that, and I don't think we need to do that here. But it's very important to recognize that if we are doing offshoots from legacy characters, they don't need to have the same canon events.
Exactamundo.
And, you know, like it or not,
I'm sorry. Exactly.
Like it or not, we're acting like
just FYI.
We're acting like Jessica Drew had the same origin. She doesn't.
She doesn't.
And one, that's not even the actual Jessica Drew. So we're like, hey, don't let me invalidate your experience.
I love the way she was complimentary of her husband.
Yeah,
it was kind of dope. Yeah.
So I think I have nothing but high hopes for the next one.
Yeah.
I think seeing Miles versus Miles G is going to be great.
Miles G.
That's what Kemp.
Miles.
That's what Kemp has been calling him, Miles G.
Interesting.
But because I think some other podcast was like, "Do you think the braids were just supposed to make him look like a thug?" And he was like, "That's not why we did that. We
did it like trap house Miles."
Sure, but it would. That's a bias on
That's
everybody.
Fault. Yeah,
because braids symbolize a lot of other things to other cultures.
Yeah.
Sure,
and I think they just wanted to not give him.
Why y'all keep stealing them?
Maybe his mom was like, I don't feel like doing that today.
Rachel Dolezal. Anyway, we've reached the end of the episode.
All the things that make us a thug, y'all keep taking. What's up with that?
Well, that's a different podcast. But we've reached the end of the episode. Thank you for rocking with us.
Come back next time in season 7.
Play Spider-Man 2. It'll be out before the next Spider-Verse.
That's true.
Yep.
It's going to be great.
I can't.
We'll be back next month for another BNR because that's what we do now. Thank you for joining us because we appreciate it. And as we always like to say here, y'all have a blessed night. Peace.
Deuces.